World-renowned audio hardware history makers Universal Audio are not shy when it comes to creating some of the most beloved preamps, channel strips and compressors over the last half century. Now these days, however, their focus is condensing everything that made the Universal Audio quality so critically acclaimed into a more portable, accessible and, dare I say, trendy way. Universal Audio's Vault range sets out to do exactly that, catering for both aspiring and veteran content creators, and the Vault 2 specifically could well be the latest addition to your studio space. Retailing at around £150, $200 or so, this Universal Audio Vault 2 claims to provide legendary audio in the easiest way possible, making it perfect for broadcasters, podcasters and musicians. So here we go. I'm already showing you what to expect inside. It's not like their other range of microphones where it's a bit of a secret. But here we go. Let's open it out. So here we go. First of all, we are welcomed by this QR code here, which is what you'll need to actually register your product. So before you can actually use it, you have to create a UA Connect account. You need to register your product and download some of their software for it, which isn't always everyone's cup of tea. The Focus Scarlett, the Focusrite 2i2 there did the exact same thing, although I believe it might have been optional. But here we go. You do need to download that before you get started. But as for the box, what have we got? We have, of course, the device itself, which I'll unveil in just a moment. Inside this handy little box, we also have the important cables. We have the power cable if you do need that. Of course, it can just be powered by USB from your laptop, your computer, but you may want to plug it in, especially when using it with iOS devices. More on that in a moment. And also, to actually plug it into your computer or your device of choice, here we go, the actual USB-C connection. So as for the Vault 2 itself, let's take a look. They really don't want people getting in this, do they?
2 hours later.
There we go. There we go. Several hours later, here we go. The Universal Audio Vault 2. And first impressions already is, my gosh, is this gorgeous. I think this is so nice and so elegant. I think, like, you know, what they've tried to do with it is one of their main focuses with it is to kind of bring back that vintage style, and not just in audio but in actual look. And I think this all metal casing here does exactly that. This wouldn't look strange if you accidentally placed it in a show that was supposed to be set in the 60s or 70s. I think this will still look very in place. As for what's kind of on the device itself, of course, you've got your 2 inputs there for both XLR and, inline instrument recording as well. So regardless of what you're recording, it's catered for here. Obviously, you have your gain knobs here, set to whatever you need it for. Couple of handy little buttons which will light up when you do turn them on, so you'll see them very, very soon. We have the vintage setting, which I'll explain a bit more later, but it's just a way to add a different sort of preamp sound to your audio. We have instrumental line, of course, switch on to use if you are using the instrumental port. You have your phantom power. You have the sort of the direct monitoring as well. Speaking of, you have your monitor knob, your volume knob, and your headphone jack there. And as for the back, we have the monitor ports, left and right, of course. We have MIDI ports, which I'm not a musician myself, but I do believe they've designed that for keyboardists especially. So if you use MIDI connections, you've got your USB-C plug, you've got your power cable if you do need to use that, and you've got your nice and chunky power button there, which I do like the feel of it. But yeah, very sleek, very nice, very simple, beautiful, really. So as I've mentioned already, this particular model, the Vault 2, does have 2 ports and 2 outs, but some members of the Vault family do cater for other needs, such as offering additional inputs and outs, and also a compressor based on their much-loved 1176. So some of they have the Vault 276, 476, they do have an extra compressor option on there, so that might be something you want to look for additionally. Again, the USB-powered connection I mentioned, you can use it to plug into your Windows and Mac computer, so regardless of your computer of choice, it's fine to plug in and pretty much go. But it's also compatible with iPad and iPhone devices as well, with its USB-C connection too. Now, of course, if you are using a lightning-powered iOS device, like my particular iPhone is, you will need to use an official Apple adapter alongside the USB-C cable they've provided. So in order to really use that feature, you do need the specific tools in order to do that job. But of course, as well, if you are using the iPhone or iPad to record your broadcasts or your content, you can also plug it into the walls because it doesn't power off your device. Enough about how it looks and what it does. Let's see how it sounds. Well, here we go. The Universal Audio Vault 2 plugged in and ready to rock. And from my time using it, experimenting and listening back to some of my recordings, I found that the dynamic range of the Vault 2 was very high and therefore very good. But what was most surprising is that I found that it surpassed even the more industry standard devices, the things that we've all come to love and use, like what I was using before, the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. It had a much better dynamic range than that, meaning it made even the most sensitive microphones on the market, I'm looking at you, Shure SM7B, it made it sound strong, clear, and in no way close to distorting, which is a huge relief. Now, microphone preamp-wise is incredibly strong, which is in line to what Universal Audio are known for. It's what they've kind of based this product on. And again, even using something a bit more sensitive, like my Shure SM7B here, I would usually have to turn the gain up 100%. Now, I have to do the exact same here. However, the difference here is I don't come anywhere close to distorting or peaking. And because of that, I found that I didn't actually need to rely on any external preamps. Like at home, every day I use my Fethead, or in the office sometimes we use the more well-known Cloud Lifter. And honestly, when I was using one of those, it really didn't benefit from one. I mean, sure, plugging in one will allow me to turn the gain up a little bit more and get a bit more out of my voice, but from what you can hear here, I'm on 100% gain. There is no need for me to crank that up even higher because it sounds beautiful, it sounds glorious. I'm not just talking about my voice, I'm talking about the actual quality of this piece of kit. So there is no need to use anything externally to the preamps in here. These are by far the best I've come across. Again, still on the topic of preamps, the one that they are most touting as an evolution and an exclusive for Universal Audio products is this brand new Vintage Mode. In a nutshell, the Vintage Mode, it's an emulation of the much beloved classic sound of that legendary recording console developed by Bill Putnam in the 50s and 60s, the founder of Universal Audio. And that piece of kit was used to record anyone from, Frank Sinatra, Van Halen, Madonna even. Now, Universal Audio later developed the LA610 channel strip, which audiophiles, I'm sure, will agree, it's perfectly reflecting the warmth and character of your voice and the famous sounds of what Universal Audio are known for. Now, this new Vintage Mode is found across the Vault series of audio interfaces, and it aims to replicate just that. So if you're recording vocals, instruments through this device, you're going to get that old style, old school vintage sound that was made famous in the LA610. So yeah, it's, if you are a audio historian or you just want to sound a bit more arguably authentic, then hey, this vintage setting will do just that. So with the vintage sound, for me personally, coming in as a mere broadcaster opposed to a music producer, I didn't notice any real difference in my voice with that vintage sound on. I mean, sure, it sounds as if my mids and my treble are lifted ever so slightly, but if you're simply using this interface for spoken word like me, then the benefits I think that it offers won't necessarily be appreciated. But for music creators, vocalists, or even those looking to plug a vinyl record player into a broadcast live show, for a more authentic way that it's supposed to be done, then I think the Vintage Mode will have a much more better and obviously noticeable presence. Now, as well as that device, something I didn't unbox because there's nothing actually to literally unbox, but it also comes bundled with a curated suite of audio software from UA themselves. So unlike some other products that I guess, like the Scarlett Focusrite 2i2 had, it's not just a smattering of random plugins that we've usually come to expect. This particular bundle features critically acclaimed tools from Marshall, UJam, and Alberton, providing you with all the necessary tools to go make sweet music. But from anything that you can download here, it lets you have access to a digital audio workplace. You have the ability to do a lot of plugins for different instruments, even drum machines, lots of virtual instruments, and this really is a bundle for everything to do with music creation. Again, if you're using this purely as a broadcaster, a podcaster, again like me, you're not necessarily going to be using that. You may find use in the DAW for a start, the digital audio workplace, but For anything else, if you're not planning on broadcasting music, then a lot of this software that you are gifted won't really be of use to you. So the final thoughts of the Universal Audio Vault 2. First of all, of course, it looks great. It produces a fantastic level of clarity and range. The inbuilt preamps far surpass anything I've used to date, like mine that I have at home, the Behringer UMC 404. A bit on the arguably the cheaper end, or the old faithful as I was using before, the Focusrite 2i2. There's excellent portability for iOS users, shame about those Android users of course, but it just means if you have an iPhone or an iPad, you don't need a computer or a studio space to go out and record. Again, that slogan, built to inspire. If you're just sitting around on a couch and you're thinking, let's make some music. Well, I've kind of stolen that from their own advert, but it's not an original thought. But it just means that you can literally just plug in and go and make music or record a podcast somewhere. You just need a little portable device, nothing like a cumbersome computer or extra bits of kit. The pre-bundled software, as I mentioned before, is greatly appreciated, but aside from the door, it's geared towards music creators, so you're not necessarily going to get the most out of them if music isn't your thing. And likewise, on the similar note, the signature vintage sound is heartfelt on paper and really meaningful, but for broadcast of spoken word and speech, it's probably not that worthwhile, but that's just my thoughts anyway. You may have a different thought of that. Speaking of thoughts, that's what I think of the Universal Audio Vault 2, an incredibly versatile, powerful and awesome audio interface that's capable of so much more than simply recording your vocals. Have you got one at home that you want to give your impressions on? Please do let me know. Have you got an alternative? Do you think the Focusrite 2i2 is better or something else entirely different? Let me know in the comments below or send me an email at studio@radio.co. But until then, take care and happy broadcasting. And just before you go, how would you like to launch your very own online radio station? Surprisingly, it's a lot easier than you may think, and the absolute best way to get started is by chatting to myself or another member of the Radio.co team. Just head to radio.co/book a demo to schedule a video call with us, where we'll discuss your plans, answer your questions, and of course guide you around the software. Or click on the link here to take your first step into launching your very own 24/7 global radio station.